Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Uh-huh. Want some candy?
What's up, Candy Killers? Welcome back to another episode of Monster Candy Podcast with the gang.
Wow.
Oobliette Sparks and Dominic Davy from Tsunami Bomb and myself, Streamin' E from the Memphis Murder Men. What's up, guys?
Hi.
How's it going?
It's
That was
intense.
so loud.
Was it super loud?
It was well in my headphones. I felt the sonic boom of your voice like meat in the middle of my brain. Like
I'll fix that in post.
That is a worthwhile. Look, you watch. You'll get in post. You're like, nah, man, it wasn't loud enough. I should have been louder. I should have cranked it. Oh man,
gotta love.
It's good to be
gadgets.
back.
Yeah, welcome back, Dom.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Mm-hmm.
We were waiting on you for this one. You said,
Yeah.
man,
I told you guys he'd be back.
Yeah,
Back. Every time I think I get away, they pull me back in and then make me review fucking surprise Scream.
yeah. Oh, speaking of Scream, okay. So
damn it.
our buddy Scarlet Rick just watched Scream 6 and she was like, dude, that thing was a piece of fucking hot garbage. I was like, God damn it, why weren't you there to back me up against Oobs and fucking Mike Terry that were like, oh, it's great, it's cool, it's whatever. And I'm like,
Second best Scream.
She should have listened to me. I know you mentioned, so should have listened. I can only do so much, you know.
You didn't watch it.
I don't need to watch it. I know it's a pile of shit. I watched the other one.
It is the second best Scream. The other one wasn't good. 6 was great.
Disagree.
I don't believe you.
It was good.
Don't believe you.
I disagree. Yeah, but she hadn't listened to the episode yet. Yeah, she hadn't listened to the episode yet. And I was like, she's like, all right, dude, I got to go back and check it out. I'm like, please do, because I could have used some backup and some validation. And then she did. And she's like, dude, you're 100% correct. I'm like, yes. So shout out, Scarlett. Thanks for having my back in retrospect.
Sure, listen to me, Scarlett. I know you saw things that I commented on. You have no excuse. You know how I feel about this. I tried to say something.
Well,
and yes,
honestly, I love you, Dominic, and I love you too, Scar, but your opinions don't matter because you weren't on the episode. And unless you're on the episode, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
and
exist.
I don't care. It doesn't. It's in the nothing.
If you have an opinion of horror movies and it's not on Monster Candy Podcast, it doesn't exist and it doesn't matter. Go fuck yourself.
No, listen. It can exist, but it just doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter to the podcast. Yeah, I get it.
Or the world, really. Because if you're not one of the 3 people that are talking about it, then fuck off. Sorry.
I just needed some validation. I was like, man.
Right, well, I don't know. Whatever. You really need validation for that, buddy.
For that,
did you get your feelings hurt
for that movie? I was like, how can you guys? What? Mike Terry kind of went back and forth on it. First, he was like, "Oh, it was great," and then he's like, "Yeah," and then kind of fell somewhere in the middle.
Mike Terry is a people pleaser, you know. He's never gonna go all the way on one side, and even if he is, he'll like retort with like something that will make you love him if you're on the other side. So yeah, he's great at that.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not saying it's a great movie, but it's definitely the second best of the Screams.
I mean, I went
without a doubt. Without a fucking doubt. Dom, you haven't seen it, so your opinion really doesn't matter at all.
Man.
My opinion matters the most because
you didn't see it.
I knew not to bother.
No, well, that's bad on you because it's entertaining.
Well, that's what you said about the other one. where yeah, and I like.
The other one was entertaining, but it wasn't necessarily good. This one I thought was good.
Courtney Cox just going septic in the corner there, not even talking about it. I don't know, man. It was seemed sloppy to me.
She may or may not be dead in this one.
Oh, I don't even care. I don't even care anymore. I don't even know why I'm arguing. It doesn't matter.
Dom's scream has broken Dominic.
It's just like, why? I'm just yelling into the void. You people just, I don't know. I can't do anything for you. I can't do anything for you. I did my best, and that's all I can do. Now
you did, sir.
You know.
Well, it's enough about Scream.
Throw myself into the ocean.
Or Scream 6 or 5 or any of them. But tonight, we are here to talk about Lee Cronin's 2023 reboot, Evil Dead Rise. But first, before we get into that, it's time for some
horror news.
Right, horror news. Who's got some?
I do.
Yeah. Do. Go for it.
So, after years of people posting bullshit saying the sequel was coming out and it not being true, there is actually a Beetlejuice 2.
I saw that.
Officially. And it's being released on the same day as E's wife's movie Blade.
Those sons of bitches.
They're coming after Mia Goth.
Yeah. God damn it. Oh.
So, yeah, Willem Dafoe just joined the cast. Our favorite actress from Scream, Jenna Ortega, is going to be Winona Ryder's daughter. Catherine O'Hara's back, and Michael Keaton's back.
Yeah. Saw that, and I was like, oh, wow. So her character is going to be forgettable, just like every character she is so far in movies. Great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited with the cast, and Tim Burton's on board, so I'm excited to see what they do.
It's one of those things that I had, like, Valerie, my girlfriend, expressed this, and I agreed. Like, she's like, this probably shouldn't happen, but if it's gonna happen, so far so good. Like, Kathleen O'Hara is in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering, have they put what's his name? Jeffrey Jones? Is that his name? The guy who played the husband, and he was in Ferris Bueller.
He's dead.
No, he's not dead. I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead. I did, but he's not.
Didn't he go to prison for like some child porn stuff?
I have not heard that.
Yeah, I think there's some shit
Hold
going on there. We'll find
Jeffrey
out.
Jeffrey Jones. He's like 76 now. Did he? Let me see if there's any problems. Oh.
Yeah. See.
Oh. Okay. To those at home, here's an addition to that. Apparently in 2002, Jeffrey Jones was arrested for child pornography and accused by a 17-year-old boy of solicitation to pose for nude photographs. He pleaded no contest to a charge of soliciting a minor, as the accuser was 14 when the offense first occurred. At the same time, the misdemeanor charge of possession of child pornography was dropped. His attorney emphasized that there was no allegation of improper physical contact. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, that's
right.
Okay. His punishment was 5 years probation, counseling, and a requirement to register as a sex offender. As of 2023, Jones was listed on the U.S. Department of Justice National Sex Offender Database. He was arrested twice for failing to update his sex offender status, first in Florida in 2004, then 6 years later in California. In 2006, Jones' record became a subject of community complaint during the production of Who's Your Caddy in Aiken, South Carolina. Upon learning of his involvement, locals insisted the public should have been alerted, and considering that families were being invited to visit the set. Surrounding the 2019 release of Deadwood the movie, Jones' crime was noted by the media. I imagine he will not be in this then.
Yeah. I knew there was something.
So, funny story about him. My dad had the same kind of mustache around Ferris Bueller time, and people used to always think my dad looked just like him. And the main reason I think it is, and this all goes back to Mia Goth, is that
Everything
Jeffrey
goes back to Mia
Jones,
Goth.
yes, Jeffrey Jones has the blonde eyebrows, so
Yes.
they look like he doesn't have any, as does my dad, as do I, and as does Mia Goth, and that is E's wife. So this is the whatever Kevin Bacon separation game.
One day she'll
What's
be
it
my
called?
wife.
6
6
degrees.
degrees. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Well, shit. Well, I guess that's
That's that.
that. I don't expect him to be in that film, and Charles Dietz is probably very dead and not
Yes.
going to be a ghost. I wonder if Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis would be in it, and if they will like de-age them or anything.
I mean, I haven't seen her do anything since the Exorcist TV show.
Right. I guess
And
they
that was
could
the only
just.
thing I saw her do in a while.
I mean, Beetlejuice, like Michael Keaton, it's not going to matter that he aged. The makeup that
Right.
what's her what's her name, the makeup artist?
V. Neal.
Was
V.
Vino.
Neal did, yeah. Yeah, he could be. You could do that makeup on him right now, and he'll look like he hasn't aged a day. Like
I mean,
he'll
he's
look exactly the same.
gonna be Batman again, so I'm sure he'll be fine.
He is Batman again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another problematic film that had a hard time with its lead. But
Yeah, that's a
I'm
weird
gonna see
one.
it.
Oh my God. Whatever. Like the whole Batman multiverse. They just did that with Spider-Man with Marvel. Come on. Too much, guys. Too much.
Well, yeah,
No.
that too, but we're talking about fucking the sexual assault and the running from the cops and everything.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller?
Oh, the
Yes.
Flash.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah,
who put
Oh no,
he
I've read the whole story about that. I
Yeah,
was
that's-
following it when they were trying to find them.
Now they have people who like are coming out on the movie going like, this movie's so good, you're not even going to think about anything about Ezra Miller. You're not even going to think about it. It's so good. And it's like, okay. I mean, I'm going to see it, so whatever. But like, all right.
It's a little weird to put it out still, but
Well, I guess that
whatever.
answered my question on why Jeffrey Jones hadn't been mentioned. I didn't know about that. So that's that for him.
Yeah, there was like a string of for a while where like 80s dads were getting found out for all this shit. Like I think the dad from Alf had some issues too.
Mm.
And then
Yes,
him and
he did.
Yeah. So
one of my crushes, Monica Bellucci, is going to be playing Beetlejuice's wife, and that's pretty hot. That's awesome.
All right.
Danny Elfman's composing it.
That. Mm-hmm.
Danny Elfman's composing it. That's crazy. I don't know. I just remember for the longest time, Tim Burton would say, like, I don't know if he was just trolling everybody, but he would be like, if I ever, would you ever do Beetlejuice 2? And he's like, sure, I have this whole idea about him going to Hawaii. And I was like,
all right.
Okay. So we'll see. I think it's supposed to be kind of like the cartoon where Beetlejuice and Lydia are more pals.
Right.
I don't know. I find that.
I mean, I could see that coming around eventually.
Yeah. Question is, will she wear the
you
red
grow
poncho?
up, you mature,
Yeah.
You become friends with a demon, whatever.
I would love to see her in a spider red poncho if that's going to happen. That would be. I don't see how that could work out, but that would be iconic.
Well, you never know.
That's the outfit from the cartoon show for anyone wondering what I'm referencing.
Okay. So I have two other little ones.
Okay.
From Sam Raimi's production company, they just announced a new movie called Don't Move, and it has Kelsey Asbiel. I don't know if that's how you say her last name. She plays the American Indian wife in Yellowstone, if you've ever seen that show, but she's really good in the couple I've seen of that. But the reason I'm interested is the male lead is Finn Whitrock.
Who's that?
I don't know if you guys know. Oh, so he has been in at least a couple of the American Horror Stories, but the one I remember him from was the Sideshow one, because he's the rich guy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, right.
He's also was in Nurse Ratched, that
Mhm.
show that was out recently. So I love him. And so I'm excited to watch this because the synopsis is basically, and I'm hoping he's the serial killer, but it's basically a movie that follows a serial killer who injects a woman with a paralytic agent, and it's all about her kind of trying to get away. And I'm totally into that. And would let him inject me with a paralytic agent at any
Fair.
point.
Fair.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, just something about him looks so naughty all the time. Maybe he's my Mia Goth.
Maybe.
He might be your Mia Goth.
Double date. Double date. Double
Oh
date.
God, that'd be the weirdest. No, I mean he looks like somebody from the silver screen era of cinema, and like also kind of like a psycho. So
Totally.
He does.
I'm into that.
He does look like that.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the other one I have is just super fun, and I haven't got to watch the episode yet, but I saw the Muppets have a new show about their band called The Muppets Mayhem, and I guess Peter Jackson appears on one of the episodes, and the Muppets, the band, ask him about the Feebles, because I guess they used to play shows with the Feebles, and he's basically like, oh, they're all in prison now, which confirms the Muppets and the Feebles live in the same universe, and they
There you
have
go.
been this whole time. Yeah.
Wow.
You've heard it here, folks.
That's
So apparently episode 7, they talk about playing some shows with the Feebles back in the day. Which
hilarious.
with how coked out the Muppets band is, like the fucking tooth guy, I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
could totally see them hanging out together.
Animal, he's gacked out. Just
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Vindicated.
That's all I got. Yes, that's all I got.
You got anything, Dom?
I don't really, because everything sucks and nothing is real, really.
It's true.
Yeah, no,
Agreed.
I mean, I have a little bit, but it's related to the movie we're talking about, so I'll just loop it into that. But
All right.
yeah,
All right. Well, I'll shoot mine off. So, coming in June 9th to the 11th, is the Living Dead weekend at Monroeville Mall. It's the little horror con they, build up around, of course, the Living Dead movies. And this will be the 45th anniversary of Dawn of the Dead. So there's going to be a huge guest list of the cast and some other people from Night Riders and Day of the Dead as well. And some activities like a mall tour. Yeah, so you take you around and, show you the places in the mall that things were filmed at. So that'll be good. And I will be there. And I'll let everybody know how it is. But yeah, that's cool. So if anyone's around June 9th through the 11th in the Monroeville area, go check it out. It's cool. It's a little weird how they have it set up because they have them in storefronts at like this one end of the mall. So any storefront that happens to be empty, they stick vendors and stuff in there. It's cool, but it's still like, weird. Because the mall's still going on and it's not like it's closed off or anything. It's just like,
Oh, weird.
yeah, like it'll be a couple, maybe like one or two empty storefronts next to each other, and then like a regular store, and then a regular store, and then another empty storefront. So it's a little weird, but it's cool. The regulars will be there: Tom Savini, Ken Forey, and all the guys, all the people. So that will be fun. You little jerks, go check it out. And that's all I got.
Yeah, jerks.
I have something I've just found
There you go.
into
Oh,
horror
Dom's
news.
joined.
I found something. There's a new true crime documentary series that is going to document a real life orphan case. Now, if you guys remember, in 2009, Jamie
Oh, yeah.
Bullet Sarah unleashed Orphan about the little girl being adopted, but she's not actually a little girl, and she ends up trying to do stuff. Well, apparently in 2010, something like that happened.
Oh,
Initially-
right.
Oh, yeah.
And
The
there's
story's fucked up.
Yeah, I'll give you the synopsis for everybody. I'm reading this from dreadcentral.com. Initially assumed to be a 6-year-old Ukrainian orphan with spondylophysical dysplasia. Oh, I said that wrong. A rare bone growth disorder that can result in skeletal abnormalities as well as issues with hearing and vision. Natalia was adopted by Christine and Michael Barnett in 2010. However, the happy family dynamic soured when allegations against Natalia were brought by the Barnetts, who alleged that she was an adult masquerading as a child with the intent to harm their family. In 2013, Natalia was discovered living on her own, which ignited an investigation into Michael and Christine's arrest and firestorm. Yeah, there it is. This has happened in Indiana. Arrest and a firestorm of questions. The case went viral when the Barnetts were tried for neglect of their adopted child, Natalia, but when they moved her into her own apartment. But they did so because they claimed she was trying to kill them and their other 3 children. Then when the courts realized that the girl was not 8, but she was 22, that's when everything became more complicated. This series focuses on exclusive interviews with the family about the case, with Natalia herself about what exactly happened. It's called The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, and it's going to be 3 consecutive nights on ID channel starting Monday, May 29th. But
yeah, so she looks just like Warwick Davis, by the way.
Yeah.
Like she looks like a splitting image of Warwick Davis. BBC did a documentary maybe like 10 years ago about her, and it's also worth watching. She's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, that's just kind of crazy to me. That's wild.
Well, that's some real life horror news right there.
I mean, it was worth mentioning. So,
Totally. It's a crazy ass story.
It's just nuts. Like, and the fact is, like, Orphan is not based on this. Orphan came out before this. I don't know if she got the idea.
I thought it was based on it.
No, because Orphan came out in 2009. This happened in 2010, a year later. So I almost wonder if this girl was like, "Oh, I can do that," but I have no idea. I haven't watched the series, but that's fucking hilarious to me. That's ridiculous.
People are so fucking weird,
dude. They're so crazy. What? Why y'all gotta be crazy? Stop being crazy.
Yeah. All right. Has anyone got anything else?
I mean, do you need anything else after that?
I don't think so. All right, everybody. That's been Horror News. Ding, ding, ding. All right. Okay. So before we get into our opinions, we must read the storyline because we've been forgetting. I've been forgetting, but I did this time. So
I thought that we have been.
Oh yeah,
haven't we?
Yeah, you brought it up last time because I almost forgot again. So, all right, here we go. Moving the action out of the woods and into the city, Evil Dead Rise tells a twisted tale of 2 estranged sisters, played by Sutherland and Sullivan, whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't a good synopsis. So yeah.
I mean,
all right. There's some things I really liked about this movie, and then there's some things I really did not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how a conversation begins.
Yeah.
That's literally the point of the whole show, right?
Yeah.
Like, we talked a little bit about what we like and a little bit of what we don't, and tell everyone, and anyone listening at home can freely scream at their streaming channel of choice because they can't like actually comment on this discussion.
I think that synopsis sucked though.
Yeah,
it does.
But okay.
Well, first off, this movie is a smash hit for horror. Like it is a huge hit. It's over $100 million at the box office. So hopefully everyone's listening because you should have. I'm assuming almost everybody has seen this because for that number of most horror fans, I assume would be checking this out because this is done very well, which is pretty great considering this movie was earmarked to be streaming on HBO Max or whatever They're very
Yep.
prominent now. So up until like 10 minutes before it came out, when they switched it, because when they they did a test showing, it rated so high, people liked it so much. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it's Evil Dead. It's gotta have a fucking theater release. That would have been
Yeah.
bunk as shit.
But I would have said the same about Hellraiser if I looked on paper and said, like, okay, you're gonna stream it only, or Predator.
Well,
Yeah.
Hellraiser was awful, and it should have been straight to whatever. It was, wasn't it? It didn't go to the movies, did it?
It did not go to the movies.
Thank God. Ugh, I would have fucking paid money to see that in the theater. I would have well, I mean, it would have been a good sleep study.
That's how Valerie felt. I didn't hate it that much, but
So-
okay. But that's
Oh my
really,
God,
but that's great. Like Evil Dead Rise is a hit, and anytime a horror movie is a hit, that's great technically, because that tends to mean that more movies get greenlit and more
Yes.
Evil Dead. I would love to see more from these guys.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to give it a better synopsis. So,
Go for it, dudes.
all right.
Back up.
So the movie starts back up.
I said, back up, give her room. All right, go.
Oh, no, it's just going to be a really quick thing that's better than whatever that fucking thing Google did was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's this chick named Beth, and she is a roadie. Well, or like,
Sound
guitar
engineer,
superstar. Yeah, sound engineer. And she decides to go to see her sister because she got fucking knocked up, and she's like, my career is ruined because I got pregnant. I should go lean on my sister. So she goes to see her sister, who's a tattoo artist who likes drawing things from other Evil Dead movies as tattoos, if anyone caught that.
Mhm.
And she's got kids and lives in like a real shit apartment. And so Ellie shows up, Beth shows up, sees Ellie, finds out Ellie's husband's gone, and then realizes she's a dickbag because Ellie's tried to call her about it, but she didn't care because she was too busy fucking dudes in the band and being a groupie.
She was
And
technically
then-
tour manager, but okay. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to play on what happened, but everyone called her in the
okay.
movie a groupie. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to be funny, and Dom's like, ugh. But anyways, she was also a groupie because, anyways. So she's fucking knocked up, and then Ellie's mad because Beth didn't pay attention to her, answer her phone calls, but then they're like, kids, you should go get some pizza. And the kids are like, yeah, we're gonna go get pizza. And then there's like a crazy fucking earthquake, and like the ground opens up like in their parking garage, right? And the kids are okay, but they spill the pizza, and so nobody eats pizza in this movie. It's really sad about the pizza. And then the son is like, there's a fucking hole in the ground, I'm gonna go down. So then he goes down, and then there's like this creepy ass shit. It's just creepy. It's like a church like box down there of
bank vault
weird shit.
Bank vault, yeah.
Sure. So yeah, a bank vault with a fucking crucifix and Jesus hanging diagonally from the ceiling, and then other stuff. And he's like, no, this doesn't creep me out. I'm just going to take the creepiest things I can find in here, which is like a book made of flesh and then a record. And then he's like, I'm going to go upstairs and play it.
records.
And that
And then
is what happened in the movie.
Okay, I'm gonna have to start off with the things I didn't like about this movie.
Do you want to start in the beginning, or you want to start like, how do you want to do this? Are we gonna go through the movie?
No, we could just whatever we think.
Well, none of this matters.
Yeah,
Horror isn't real. Nothing's real. It's all an illusion.
So, all right, like I had such a hard time with this movie because I wanted to like it more, but it's like some things it did really well that it changed, and I'm like, dude, that totally works. Like the switching up from the cabin to the shitty apartment, it's getting it's getting torn down or whatever. Everyone has to move, so there's not too many people left. I was like, dude, okay, that's a good way to set up like in an urban area how all this shit's going to go down. And then what you just said, Oobliette, the thing that bugged me is like the whole religious fucking thing angle. I'm like, you didn't need to change that. Like you could have fallen into the hole and it's like, oh shit, there's this weird room and it has a book and the reel to reel and a journal. I'm going to fucking grab it. But first of all, records. Okay. they had to press the record. So they would have had to have sent it off to get pressed. So that shit would have just been playing and playing.
I have some things to intercede there real quick. The records were obviously the cut records that were made at the time, where they weren't
They were
even
clay.
33 or 45.
Right.
So that's why he had to speed them. They were probably more closer to like 78 or older, and they were probably cut while it's being recorded. It was one of those, like, it looked to me.
Yeah,
to
you
be
don't
those
think
kind of records.
you didn't send those off back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think of that. But still, why would you even record something like that you know is unleashing hell on earth?
And the
What-
religious thing was because they had buried a possessed priest's body in that area and then just covered it with crosses and stuff in a vault.
Yeah.
So they didn't want it to come back.
No, I mean, I get why they did all that, but I'm like, you could have just not changed that and made it, 'cause I don't know. It's the Evil Dead. If the Evil Dead franchise didn't exist and there wasn't already like canon for it, because I thought the archaeological expedition stuff was like, that's perfect. You could fit that in any movie. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. You can kind of like make it that, but just the whole fucking religious bullshit. I was like, oh, why? Because I just like the deadites being this like weird mystical fucking demons from hell that is like kind of precedes religion in a way. But
Yeah, but you just said from hell.
well, from the
Yeah.
depths of the beyond.
From your
Yeah.
own mouth, you said
Yes.
hell.
Well, from the depths of beyond, I guess. But so that was some of the things I didn't like. The characters, I don't know. This is a problem I'm having with a lot of movies nowadays. It's like I don't give a shit about the characters. Like none of them seem any like charismatic to me at all. Like I don't care, except for the little girl, the youngest daughter. I thought she was, I don't know, like funny. I'm like, okay, I believe you, but everyone else, I'm like, the whole side story plot with the sister getting pregnant and the fucking
That did all. Bethany Bixler is the name of the main character.
Yeah.
And they, yes, I would agree. I don't agree with the religious aspect, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I do agree about the pregnancy side story. That went nowhere. It
Right.
had no impact on anything except that it made some not even that crazy comments from the Demon Knight about it, two souls for one, like kind of thing. But there wasn't really, you would think that in a movie about possessing things and taking over people, killing them and taking over their bodies and using their memories to hurt those around them, you would think that an unborn baby would be a frightening aspect of that story. But that wasn't, they didn't even go there, really. I don't know if it was cut out.
No, I think the whole point is that when women's maternal instincts kick in, they're fucking crazy and terrifying.
I guess.
In that.
The analogy. Yeah.
I mean, that's what they in all these movies. Anytime there's a pregnant chick, she always protects all the other kids. But you know why they brought in the priest and why? I mean, Bruce Campbell was the priest, right?
He wasn't the main priest. He was the priest. Okay, so
I know, but you know why, right? You know what the prequel is.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do a John Wick style movie with Bruce Campbell as a priest.
Oh, yeah.
Fighting the
right.
Deadites.
Yeah.
That goes into this movie.
They said
so. That's the religious part.
Yeah, they said that. So it's his voice on the record saying it's called the Book of the Dead for a reason. You have to burn it, and like they've joked that like I did see they joked like, was that just a priest or was that actually Ash back in time trying to warn these people? I don't know if Ash would be that polite on a record, but it was a cool way to sneak him in. And I mean, if that's something they end up doing, I know Ash. I know that Bruce Campbell has said that he'd do Ash again if Sam Raimi directed and had a good idea. Then he'd do it. He won't do it for anyone else. But he also says, like, I gave you 15 hours of a TV show. What more do you want?
Which was awesome. That's still probably the best, reboot.
It's a very good
guess.
TV show.
They'll also agree that I don't know what they missed because it seems like they do decent amount of setup of who these characters were. I wasn't confused about who any of these characters were.
Right.
But I admit I didn't care about any of them particularly. I wasn't bummed or I think only the little girl had the magnetism that kept me, like, I didn't want anything to happen to the little girl.
Right.
But other than that, I was like, yeah, there was no sort of, and I was like oddly like concerned about that cat. The director said that the cat lived, but I mean, it was like you threw the cat in and the cat was just a device to make the deadite think of the vents. But it was also like, I will say there were certain things that if you're going to have an element, you should like play that element out and not have to tell. More. You should never have to say later, like, oh, what happened to that character or why this was that. Like, it should technically, if you have an element in a movie, one would think that you need to give that element a reason more than just a side thing. So it did seem a little disjointed and sloppy, and I will admit that like I wasn't particularly invested, and that probably kept me from feeling more creeped out than I could have. It was only when the little girl was in danger that I find myself are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? Where's she going? You know, so and then I did feel like, if we're going on criticisms, I did feel like the some of the thing, like the Shining reference was a bit heavy-handed, because it was like, I mean, it's very cool, but it's distracting because it's such an obvious homage. So I'm like, it took me a little out of the moment. You mean
the blood in the elevator?
Yeah,
but I thought it was just recreating the blood from the Evil Dead.
No, well, it was. But it felt like that splashing scene
that was very
straight
Shining.
Up out of Shining. Like even the angle, like that's what I was saying. Like the blood,
Yeah.
I wasn't distracted by the blood filling the elevator. I actually thought like, oh, that's fucking crazy. That's cool. But then when the way it sloshed out, I mean, obviously it was going to, but I was like, okay. I mean, this is clearly Shining. And then yes, indeed it was. It is definitely a reference to Shining. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a couple quick other criticisms I had about it was with the
if
callbacks.
They didn't do it though, I would have been more pissed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was cool. I wasn't upset about it. You know,
it just took me out. I just said it took me out. That's like, I all of a sudden was like, oh, Shining. Okay.
So an issue I had was the callbacks were like way too much for me. Like all the references, like everything. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one, which I appreciate them doing it, but the movies they're doing them from were like were Evil Dead 2. It's like a totally different type of movie where where those lines fit. When you try to do it in like a serious type role, I'm like, no one would fucking say that. Like that was corny. So I didn't
yeah, you should, if you're gonna do things like that, it wouldn't have been a bad idea to have stuff like that, but like figure one big one.
Right.
That makes sense, like a come get some, you know, maybe, or something else, like one of something obvious that makes it. Swallow Your Soul would have been cool.
That was perfect.
But only
I'm
one.
like,
but that one. But
I'm like, that makes sense to me.
But yeah, when you force too many in, it becomes noticeable.
It's just like redundant. I'm like, oh god.
I did hear, and I didn't know this at the time, but I did find out that I guess Bruce Campbell brought a bunch of the audio files that they had done for Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And they layer up, like, because I guess he's super into the sound of movies, and so is Lee Cronin. And so Bruce Campbell was really involved with the audio production of this movie. And I guess he brought all the files that they had foleyed for those movies, and those are layered throughout. And I did notice the fly noise. There was a fly noise. I was like, that was when I caught. Like, I loved, I guess there was wind noise that they put in that was used in, you know, just certain things that they had recorded. I guess the wind noise was from Niagara when Sam Raimi was staying there, and he had this certain wind noise, so he recorded it and he put it in Evil Dead 2, and that was the wind noise in this movie. So I mean, there were some things like that they had done that, and I love that. a reference that I was annoyed about, and it actually distracted me that they didn't do this, and the way they did it was the fucking car. There's a goddamn parking garage in this movie. You certainly could put that fucking car in there, and they didn't do it on purpose. And what they said was, no, it's fine. We made the chainsaw the color of the car. And I'm like,
you couldn't even see it, like the real color of the chainsaw for one.
Who cares? That's I kept searching the parking garage just for that car because it would have been fine. And I think that was a mistake to try and be different because it's literally in every single fucking movie.
Yeah.
And that's what the thing I would say is they worked really hard to put in certain lines.
Mm-hmm.
They worked incredibly hard to layer sound, which I think was great. It would have been nice, like, and then you decide like the car is a bridge too far. I was like,
yeah.
I mean, even the actors' names are all. Did you guys hear that all the characters' names are all the names of actors who have acted in franchise.
Same with the pizza place. There was a gym, like everything in there. Yeah.
Which those are the references I love.
Sure.
Yeah. What about you, Oobliette? What didn't you like about it, or anything that bugged you?
Are we just doing not like right now and not like?
Yeah, it seems like we're doing not like, and then we'll go into what we liked.
Me and Dom went on a rant.
I mean, yeah, and that's kind of what I don't like about this movie is these people who are like so into the other ones and the lore and everything else. I feel like there's definitely a level of closed-mindedness and judgment on things like this.
I can agree with that.
That makes it kind of a bummer a little bit. The things I didn't like, what's funny is actually that youngest girl. I wanted her to die. I thought she was really fucking dumb when she tried to unlock that door. Like,
well, yeah, I agree with that.
Her hair sucked. Her outfit sucked compared to the other kids. Like, I don't know why, but I really didn't feel for that little girl. And I was like, this is the one they're gonna let survive. Like, I would have taken her out fucking first and made it awful.
Which would have been way more shocking. So
yeah,
I wouldn't have been upset at that.
Totally. Some of the things I didn't like, I mean, the pacing of it, I feel got a little clunky about 3/4 of the way through. I feel like it was really fast paced. And then about the time they're getting out of the apartment, it gets a little like, you lose me a little bit.
Right.
And I also didn't like that they didn't play up the comedy as much as they could. I actually found the main actress that was possessed hilarious when I heard that she kind of based her performance off of The Mask by Jim Carrey. I could totally see it.
Yeah, I could see it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think she did a great job, and it didn't bother me that they put all those reference quotes in. But I would have liked to have seen more camp because the gore level was there. And with the storyline, I think they could have totally made it like inappropriately campy. And
agreed.
Well, the best use of humor
they missed the mark.
Yeah, the best use of humor is to disarm you so that the scary moments are that much more. If you are like laughing at something ridiculous, you could almost forget, a viewer could almost forget in an instant how deadly a situation is, and there's a fun way that you can flip that, and there were missed opportunities with that. Like they didn't. I agree with that criticism for sure.
And like for me, I'm a big wuss. I get scared at everything. Nothing in this movie was even remotely scary to me. I think there was one jump scare kind of in the beginning that just caught me off guard but didn't really scare me. So if you're not gonna go full scary, go back to the other ones and add more camp. You don't have to go as campy as like Army of Darkness or something, but there was definitely a lot more room for some comedic stuff, especially with that actress. Like, Terrifier 2 did it so well in that costume shop with like his miming stuff. Yeah. Like they could have done some cool body comedy with her in that apartment that would have like really creeped people out.
Dude, that's a thing too. Like, so I have an issue with this one, just like I did with the, what was it, 2013 remake,
Mm-hmm.
where they try to be like extra vulgar with the dialogue coming from the people that are possessed, and I'm like,
It's the Exorcist thing.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, you're saying the same shit like all the time. There's going to be a cunt. Oh, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's not like I want the deadites to be like, I'm gonna swallow your soul and we're gonna, you know, destroy the earth. Like that's, to me more effective as far as in this timeline than just regurgitating stuff that was shocking in 79 or 78, whenever the fucking Exorcist was, or early 70s, I guess.
Right. And not only that, but like, just the thought of, a mother to children being possessed and wanting to kill them. I mean, they could have come up with so many witty things that would have been fucking terrifying.
Right.
And I feel like they started to broach that a little bit with some of the stuff she said, but like, if you're going to make a movie that gory, and you're not going to go comedic, then like go all the way with the darkness. And they did not go nearly as dark. Like the whole time I'm thinking of lines that would be awesome. And then they say something really playful and I'm like, ugh, either make this funny or like go full on brutal. Like
Evil Dead
really dig into
2013.
these kids' psyches.
Yeah,
Okay,
Evil
yeah,
Dead 2013 was far more hardcore than this one. And like by comparison.
No, this one was fun, I think. That's why
No,
I
it
was
was.
make it
It was.
funnier.
But that
Yeah.
that was an Evil Dead that went really dark, I think, in their mind.
Yeah, for the series, completely. Yeah, I mean, and it was. But I mean, like, the criticism about the bringing the religion in it, I can see that. But, in that recording, I think it was Bruce Campbell, says there's 3 copies of the book. So
Right.
they basically made it seem like one was the archaeologist or whatever.
Mhm.
Right.
They probably meant one was the remake or what.
Yep.
Maybe the third
That's
will be
exactly what
found,
they meant.
and then this one was that. So I feel like they tied that in well, and they didn't have to like, because if they would have done the archaeology thing again, you would be like, wait, how does the same book end up from the same guy, or in a different place? I don't know.
I had forgotten the scene. I had forgotten that that was Lee Cronin's idea, which they all love, because that came from the scene where there were 3 books in the cemetery in Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
And that even though those books, when he tried to pick them up, were like portals and they reacted differently, they kind of said like, yeah, that's because they weren't the right books he needed then. But these are the 3 books that went on. And now the story, like Bruce Campbell said, yeah, totally. From now on, if we get to do any sequels, if we go anywhere with this, it's all going to be related to where each of those books go. And
which
their threads, then what are the threads of those books?
Which will totally make sense if they do it. And I'm assuming they want to and will.
I'm assuming they're going to get to after crossing $100 million
Yeah.
mark. They're going to get to. There's going to be more Evil Dead movies, 100%.
Totally.
100%.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if they do this prequel, it might be cool. But and then the other thing I just didn't like is if I was a teenager and I started to open a book and teeth bit me. And then I opened it up and there were a bunch of like demons painted in blood. And like, if anything slightly weird happened after that, I don't even care how much trouble I think I'd be in. I would be like, hey, mom, dad, like whoever, like, I just found this fucking book. It bit me. You need to take this. Yeah. Or I'd throw it out the window. I don't know. I would do something. Like I would get rid of it. Aren't there windows in the place? Like the kid literally just leaves it there.
Well, that's a funny thing, because throughout the movie, this is another thing that kind of, I'm like, wait, all right, so all this chaos is going on. Amongst all this chaos, there's scenes where they're just kind of like nonchalantly just taking their time doing whatever with someone else locked in a door, or like, I'm like, wait, you'd be freaking the fuck out. Like, let's hurry up. Not like, oh, hold on, I'm going to put these headphones on and listen to this record while shit is going bananas behind me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, when she put the headphones on and has her back to the room, I'm like, the fuck you would have your back to the room facing like a wall or a window or whatever. I would be like in the corner, my back to the corner, like
with a knife
in every way possible. Fuck yeah, dude, I'd have knives strapped to my legs. I'd fucking have the helmet on. I mean, I'd be ready for everything. I wouldn't just walk over casually and pop them on.
Totally.
Also, with the mother, a possessed sister, your sister, the kids' mothers, you're leaving the kids by themselves.
Yeah.
One child had already been possessed by that time, so it was just
She
like
begs her to keep track of the kids, and within minutes, she's already lost one.
Yeah,
Well.
it's ridiculous. But then, yeah. So yes, I don't disagree with any of this.
All right.
That said,
all right, let's get into what we like, because there's stuff that I really did like about it.
I did love this movie for being a part of the Evil Dead universe. I did like the intelligent ways that it managed to take the remake and now, because it's not actually a reboot, it revealed itself as it's a sequel, and the way it did it made it so that what was considered a reboot is also a sequel, and now all of these things exist together in the same universe and is all entirely possible. And I thought that was really well done. Agreed. I thought the actress that played the possessed was amazing, and put in the work, and was, like I said, nothing scared me, but like there was elements to her, like she could have been as terrifying as she needed to be. Like she was there, like she had it. Like it was zany, it was weird, it was creepy. I even liked how they showed her sister, like she was burning up and trying to get a message to her sister, to Beth, and say, like, even through her phone, like, I'm burning up, like, watch my children, like, protect, like when she snaps up, like, protect my children, and then dies, like, like that was really cool. It was, I like the final boss monster was a really cool idea too. Like, dude, I was like, okay, like we're gonna
so the color out of space.
Awesome.
That was fucking crazy. Like that part, I was like, that was the part of the movie where I was like, that's fucking crazy. I can say, like, I definitely did not see that. Like I was like, oh, I wasn't sure that was gonna happen. We're all just gonna turn into a pile of bodies. That's amazing.
I was like, where's Nicolas Cage at?
I know. That part was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool. I just thought, like, I remember thinking, man, I do not know how Bethany Bixley is going to explain anything that just happened, with her fingerprints all over the fucking place and a wood chipper full of her family. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna work out for you. That makes Ashy Slashy look positively like tame by comparison. So it's like, my brother Johnny and we always joke about, like, what happens after the movie and how likely you are fucked even after surviving something terrible, because the only story you have is, like, back that up. How are you going to describe that
incredible
the demon came and just, like, ate everyone in the place? Like, what are you going to, where, how would you possibly explain anything? That was the best part of the Evil Dead series, was that it turns out he was thought of as a serial killer in his hometown because of everything. Because how would you possibly explain any of this?
Yep.
I thought the same after
true.
Evil Dead 2013, when the girl finally made it out. It's like, what's she fucking gonna tell? I went to
you're gonna be in prison.
Yeah, you're just going to prison. I don't know what possible way you're gonna be able to explain the disappearances of everybody. So I do think that some of the things that we see in this movie, as we're calling, like, maybe more careful and tame, was because, while I think it's bullshit that Evil Dead 2013 kind of had an initial weird rap to it, like, that movie I loved that movie when it came out. I was into it, but there were people who were like, about it, and I think they were just, that made them more careful with this. Yeah. So anything that we're noticing that we're like, it could have been better, it's because of that movie. And they tried, and that movie was rad, but, like, they were like, I don't know, like, now I hear people talk about that movie, they talk about how great it was. But I remember for a long time now, I felt like in a lot of conversations, I was the only one who was like, that movie rules, and people were like, now I see everywhere that it's up there.
My opinion has definitely not changed on that movie. I still think it's a pile of shit.
Really? I love that movie.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I love this movie. I do. For all the problems that I will admit that I just admit to and stand by and agree with you guys on. Overall, I think it's a solid fucking movie, and it was really great, and I'm glad it did well. It clearly is the balance that most of the people want. You know, while I agree that it could have gone campier in some spots, and they missed opportunities with humor, and then, you know, the writing line between dark and campy, I agree, but clearly at $100 million gross and climbing, this was the temperature that people wanted. This was this was the balance they wanted, which, like, hot sauce is always like commercially successful hot sauce is never as good as it could be. You know, it's always a lot.
Well,
it's always less spicy for what most people want. You know,
yeah,
it's like,
totally. Like, this movie was definitely entertaining. Like, I've watched it a few times now, just to, you know, once in the theater and then just other times to prepare for this. So I didn't feel like, I thought it was way better than the 2013 one. I'm like, I like this one so much better. I'm more invested in it. I loved some of the cinematography, because they also kind of use some old Sam Raimi kind of style, you know, like the whole close-up shots and stuff. I'm like, that's cool, you know. I thought it did well with going in the direction it went. You know, like I said, I had my criticisms of some of the stuff that I didn't like, but if you're going to kind of reboot a franchise, I thought this was, you know, you probably couldn't do it much better with going how the movie was going, like in the direction this particular movie was going. So that was cool. I do like that it to me, it had more respect for the original franchise kind of than the 2013 one, because it fell into the groove a little bit better, in my opinion. So, you know, and like I said, I like the apartment building aspect of it, because how we always say a secluded place makes everything scarier.
yeah, the intention, he said, is like, as we are forced into apartments and smaller spaces, like, what do we do? I'm paraphrasing the quote. It was from Fangoria, where he was like, what do you do in this small cramped space when something terrible happens or evil comes to your door? Where are you going to go?
Right.
How are you going to get out? Like, what are you going to do? And it's like, I thought he said that was the focus more than like Evil Dead goes urban, like, you know, which is what a lot of people interpreted when it was first announced. But then when he said it like that and watching how it unfolded, I was like, yeah, it's more about cramped space.
So curious on how they were going to do it, because I'm like, dude, this is either going to be really bad or he's going to pull it off and it's going to be good. Dude, my favorite thing is I loved how they tied the beginning and the end in.
That was my next question. I was just about to bring up.
Same.
What did you guys think about the cabin aspect, that bookend?
Well, dude, like,
I liked it.
Almost towards the end of the movie, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did that have to do with anything?
Same.
And then you see the girl come walking. I'm like, okay, that's genius. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh no, when the kid found the book, I'm like, but wait a minute, what about the lake?
Yeah.
If this has been down here forever, how the fuck is that girl?
I like the fact that demonite like rode in that girl, like, as fucked up as you get when the demonite starts attacking your soul. Like, she drove out, picked everybody up, and then passed out and like finally succumbed. But it was also like, I don't know, I was the same spot when they were walking out. I was like, and are we just ignoring the beginning? What is happening? And then having having her walk through.
Yeah, they got all three of us.
Yeah.
Not one of us expected them to. No, I totally thought it was a plot hole too. I was like, what?
I was confused on how she got down. Like, I guess she went downstairs, but apparently that wasn't available to anybody. Like, I was confused. Like, everybody had a hard time leaving the floor, and then she walks out, sees the elevator being weird without even reacting, goes to the stairs, and like it just opened. Like, I guess that I didn't quite catch like why they couldn't, because before I remember they're like, we have to go through someone's apartment to get to these, because
something was stuck in the elevator.
Right. The elevator was fucked, but then they couldn't leave by the stairs for some reason. They were trying to get out with,
The stairs
and
were
then
gone. When you opened the door, they were like cracked
Yeah.
and they fell
then
over or
then
whatever.
how did that teenage girl who missed
Which
the whole
she
movie?
was on a different floor.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, I think she was in a different part of the
Oh,
Yeah.
building because she didn't hear it.
oh.
Yeah, she was
See,
just
I
like,
thought she
oh,
was.
yeah,
I got the impression she just walked out the same hallway, but that makes sense because there were bodies all over
No,
that
no,
floor.
no.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
Was in a
she was
different
probably
part.
like a first floor person or something.
Right, that makes more sense. Okay. I didn't catch that and I was a little confused. I was like, wait, what happened? But that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I also like the kind of Shaun of the Dead, like walking through the whole disaster and not noticing anything, and then
Yeah.
turning around and like suddenly noticing like a big pile of blood,
Oh,
everywhere.
So, what?
Hmm.
Chunks.
So
Yeah.
this cracked me up. So as they're fighting the fucking deadite blob of bodies, right? And they're running towards the gate to slide under the gate. The aunt
Yeah.
is first and is like,
Hmm.
hurry up. Like she just left her
Yeah.
niece like behind her. I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you put your flesh and your little niece first and be like, here, I'll protect you and go ahead? She was like,
Yeah.
nope, fuck you.
Kids
Bit
are
of a
slow,
dirtbag.
man.
Bit of a dirtbag right there
Yeah.
on that one, but
A little bit.
She was protecting her unborn child.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's not what happened. But yeah, also with the cabin in the beginning, I loved the title sequence.
Yeah.
Like that whole
Mhm.
thing looked so cool. I was like, when that happened, I was like, okay, I'm in, I'm with you. Evil Dead, here we are. Another Shining reference in the beginning that was really obvious because, like, I liked.
Yeah.
First, I liked the drone tricking you, and you were thinking you were following a demon, but then way it panned around and everything, I was like, okay, that's Shining. And then when I
Right.
saw
Yep.
the blood, I was like, okay, that's Shining. It's a little obvious, but
What about you, Oubliette?
I mean, as much as I said I didn't like the pace in that one little part, the rest of it, I really enjoyed the pace of the movie. I like that it started out swinging. I thought they did a great job casting the sisters. They seemed like they would be related. They had like a really good dynamic.
Right.
The acting quality I think was really high for this type of movie. The acting level I think was way better than the 2013 Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Although, again, I understand people don't get attached to the characters. If anything, I got attached to the mom who became the demon just because they gave enough of a story and you're like, fuck man, she lives in this shitty apartment with these fucking kids. Her husband leaves her and now her fucking pregnant sister that ignores her shows up. So it was like, really? The one you feel bad for the most? So
Yeah.
in a way, it was kind of nice that she got possessed and started taking people out because they probably deserved it.
there was
Tit sucking paradise for parasites.
I noticed when
Yeah.
I noticed when I watched this that the most vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable people were the ones that were possessed. And that is accurate with how people describe possession and other movies. It's not something they explore a lot in Evil Dead, but if you notice, like, probably the best character, the best person, the most competent person is
Right.
the one who falls first, but she's also the one that feels the most fragile. She's having to move out of her apartment because it's just a piece of shit and she's got to go. She has nowhere to go. Her husband's
Yeah,
gone.
she's
Her
getting
sister
fucked
comes
left
back.
and right.
Yeah, her kids aren't really listening to her. But obviously from everybody, how they talk about her, how she kind of responds to stuff, she's clearly the most capable and, like she would have been the leader who would have rallied. She would have been probably a better protagonist to fight against the possession stuff, but she was vulnerable. And then her two oldest kids, who are both unsure and vulnerable and kind of messed up, but the youngest child who was the most secure in themselves and doesn't
because they were
fall.
dumb.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
sister is only questioning her being pregnant. She's not really questioning her life choices. She's just like, "Oh, I fucked up because I'm not going to be able to go on tour anymore. I don't know what to do." But she's not like, I wouldn't say she's like emotionally vulnerable. I'd say she's like, "Oh, I'm fucked."
Oh, I don't
But it
know. In the
seemed like,
beginning, she's kind of upset in the bathroom. And then when she shows up at the
Yeah.
house, she's like, I fucked up again, alluding to like the fact that she's been fucking up for a while and making her sister
Yeah.
pick up the pieces. I mean, I think it's cool. They took out the matriarch, you know? Like
Yeah,
she was definitely with the whole cast in this movie, the matriarch and probably the only person holding anything together. So like once she fell, everything
for
else
sure.
kind of
Yeah.
followed it.
going into it and not knowing anything about the character, I would have totally thought that would have been the Ash character that would have risen up and defended herself and been capable. You know what I mean? Like that would have,
Mhm.
you could have, if you didn't know who was being possessed, you had seen nothing. You went into that movie, you'd almost think that was the one who was going to like be the fighter and be more capable. But then she gets taken out first.
Well, and she would have been, and I think that they made that pretty clear when, she's being taken and she basically begs the sister to protect her kids, and then this fucking sister ends up saving one of them, kind of, at the end.
Yeah.
Barely. She
Barely.
barely sneaks it by at the end.
Yeah.
But the other two, she lets get fucked up like pretty much right off the bat. And like, so I liked that part of it, that even though, the fuck up sister made it out with one of the kids at the end, they like kept her as a fuck up through a lot of the movie and doing pretty dumb shit like the headphone thing with your fucking back to the room.
Yep.
Instead of all of a sudden making her this like, total heroine, like badass that's gonna, take out everybody and not have anything. So it was a bold move to kill off some of the kids, and definitely a bold move to possess probably the strongest one. I was waiting for her to somehow beat the possession at some point. Like it seemed like that's where the movie was going to go, because that character had been led up to be such kind of like the strong leader, or more of her coming out and like through, like pushing the demon back and like having more of her talking. But it was kind of cool that they didn't go that way, because that would have been
died.
in my mind totally expected. So instead they kind of let the fuck up stay a fuck up, and the
she
strong
died.
one got taken out.
She died, like, I think in that moment where she was like, take care of my kids, and then collapses. I think that's the moment that character dies. She just can't hold on to her body anymore. But
I mean, if you're a demon, you might want like someone who's badass too. I mean, I know you said the fragile thing, but at the same time, you might want a fighter because their body's probably a little bit better than a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of cool, there's things we aren't mentioning about the movie, like her vine tattoos are a reference to the vines of the other movies, and the way she is attacked by the wires in the elevator is a reference to Bobby Joe and Cheryl and even Mia, in the other movies. So
and they had when the daughter got possessed, you started to see the black spider webbing and stuff like that. Yeah. And I thought the special effects were cool, like when she swallowed the glass. I thought that was
super cool.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
that was cool,
dude. People were just like, "Oh my god, a fucking cheese grater!" Dude, I was not impressed by that.
Dude, it wasn't bad.
First of all, why the fuck would you just stay still if someone grabbed your leg and slammed a fucking cheese grater on it? I'd be kicking and like whatever. She just sat there and let her. I was like,
no, it was very weird how she just didn't really move and let it happen.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of references to that scene as like, oh, that was crazy. And I was like, what? I see people like drawing pictures of cheese graters and stuff. And I'm like,
well, no, they had merch. They sold merch with it. That's why I knew it was, because there's an Evil Dead Rises shirt with the cheese grater. So I was like, oh, this is going to be brutal. But I'm sorry, if you've ever gotten a pedicure, that's about the level of cheese grating that happened in that movie.
Right.
It's
like,
well, you sent me those images
thing.
of the merch, and I was like, oh shit. And that was before, I saw it. And so when it came out, I'm like, oh, she's gonna just like, she's gonna be trying to get away, and her oldest niece is just gonna keep swiping at her with the cheese grater. I'm like, that would suck. Like to just keep getting your fucking leg grated. while you're trying to get away. But
Yeah.
no, it was like, I got your leg. Don't move. Slam. All right. I'm like, we wouldn't just sit there and let them do that. But
I gotta say, "Mommy's with the maggots now" is the line of this movie to me. I thought that was a good delivery, especially how
Yeah.
like "Mommy's with the maggots now." Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, well, shit.
like stuff like that is what you expect to hear from a deadite.
Yeah,
But then when they start saying, get off my gun, you cunt, or whatever. Like, what? Okay.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
there was another line, I forget, the mom said. It was something fucking corny. I'm like, oh, god damn it. Oh, I think it was you tit sucking parasites. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
oh boy.
I mean, that was kind of funny.
I mean, she's not wrong. I'm not saying she's wrong, but
I know.
it's just, not something I thought was needed to be said. But I don't know. Anything else you liked about it, Oobliette?
I mean, like I said, I think it was acted well. I liked the neighbors. I liked that you kind of only got to know them briefly before they got ripped to shreds.
Mhm.
And I also did appreciate the eye-biting scene that it's the sound of Bruce Campbell eating an apple.
Yeah.
And it was funny because after the movie, that was like one of the first things I looked up because that particular sound, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I knew they had done a bunch of sound stuff with this. So I was like, is that from one of the other movies? So I looked it up and it was, I guess a recording of one of them just eating an apple, which is even grosser when you think about it.
Yeah. The eyeball bite scene was cool. But another like gratuitous callback was the eyeball going in the person's mouth. And I'm like, all right, we saw
that
this
was hilarious. That part was funny though.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, all right, we saw that in the remake and now we're seeing it again in this one. But if they keep going with it, then I'll appreciate it more. So in every other movie they do now, they have to have a scene like that. Because running jokes for me are hilarious. Like if you just keep it going, it's like, oh, where's the eyeball going? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, just a one-off thing and then they don't ever use it again, I'm be like, you shouldn't have done it. But little grievances.
No, same. That part just got me because I'm terrified of biting into apples.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
that should be in the descriptor. That should be in the description of this episode.
Oh yeah.
So if you guys ever eat an apple in front of me and it's not cut up before you start eating it, you will watch me look at you in like utter horror and disgust. I think only monsters just eat apples like that. Also, if you ever see me eat a sandwich or a hamburger, I will always cut it in half and start eating from the inside out. I am not going to fucking bite into the outside of a fucking sandwich.
I can verify this. I have noticed this, but I did not know the reason.
All right, first of all,
even sliders I cut in half. Like, right. I don't give a fuck. I am not biting into the outside of a fucking sandwich. Gross. So gross.
Wow. Okay. You heard it here, everyone.
I can't justify the slider part, but an actual sandwich or a hamburger, I mean, it's just easier to eat if you cut it in half and like take it, attack it on an angle instead of just biting it, because then you're gonna shit all over your face, stuff's gonna fall out. Like,
no, I mean, I'm like a psycho. Like, if I go through fast food, I will rip that shit in half with my hands. Because I'm not just gonna fucking bite into it.
I think that's a good plan of attack for sandwiches.
So gross. Like when we go out to eat and my husband just bites into a burger from the outside,
I used to, but it's so much easier to just cut it in half. Like I just got tired of getting shit all over me. I'm like, you know what? This is probably easier this way, but
Well,
interesting.
you're not a monster.
I've learned so
But
much.
watch it with those apples, man. You guys, just fucking if you're gonna eat an apple, cut it up.
I normally do. It's my
You
normal
could have.
lunch.
I would never
Yeah.
have foreseen learning more about my bandmate on this episode. I did not see this coming.
I have some weird shit. I got some weird
Everybody
things
does.
that
I don't.
I just
I've noticed this. I've noticed you do this before. I'm not saying I didn't. I know you're weird, but I just didn't know. I didn't know the reason, and I feel good that I know more now.
Yeah.
Now I know not to give you a fucking apple. Cut it in half. Cut it in some parts and give it to you.
Yeah, don't hand me a fucking whole apple. You're gonna get thrown at you. Like it's fucking rude. That's rude. You don't just hand people an apple. The fuck? You cut that shit up first and then you hand me a slice and then wait for me to accept it before you put it in my hand because I might not want it then.
You've been warned.
Do not send Oobliette emails without fucking subject titles in there. She does not like that either.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm okay with that. You were the one who got mad that I didn't subject it.
No, I didn't. I never put subject. That's the only reason I do because I thought you did. I was like, oh, I don't want to make her mad.
Maybe I got mad about it that one day. I don't know.
Well,
things change. I also will eat most things with my hands unless it needs to be cut apart.
Even spaghetti?
No, but fusilli I will. or large macaroni. I trade off between forks and like picking food up with my hands. And I don't care.
Hilarious.
You guys can think it's gross. I don't give a fuck. And I will totally, and if you're eating next to me, I will put my hand in your food and just take a handful. Like,
yeah, whatever.
Won't even think twice about that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're fine with it, but there are certain people, one of which might be in my band, that was not pleased when I picked a French fry up off of his plate.
Was it Andy?
It was a fucking French fry. I'm not mentioning any names. But yeah, it was Andy. It wasn't like I took a handful of mashed potatoes. I took like a French fry and he gave me like the death look.
Well, that's actually like a fucking ultimate alpha move. If eating mashed potatoes, you're just like, oh, those mashed potatoes look delicious. Big scoop with your finger.
Yeah.
I feel like,
and then just take the gravy boat and pour it in your palm. Just
like,
fucking fist that.
That'd be awesome.
Nice.
I'll do that next time. I'll do that next time Andy gets mashed potatoes.
I'm sure he'll love.
I'm gonna look at Dom while I was doing it.
She's gonna be like, I'm just gonna sit there watching this disaster happen and be like, okay, well, for once I'm not the most controversial person. I'm just gonna ride this out. I'm gonna ride this situation out right now.
All right,
wow.
All right. Well, back to Evil Dead. ED rise.
Yeah.
Erectile dysfunction rise is what.
And back to the fact that nobody ate pizza.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they tasted it.
Okay. Wait. First of all,
priorities.
Dude, the pizza wasn't even fucked up. Like,
I know, it was fine. When they dropped it back off, I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I thought that too.
Fucking,
I literally thought that too.
I've eaten floor pizza so many times, and that didn't even like hit the floor out of the box. It stayed in the box. It was fine.
Like the cheese was still on it. I'm like,
I know.
There's nothing wrong with that fucking pizza. What are you doing?
Yes, Dominic, you heard me correctly. I have eaten floor pizza so many times.
I'm not going to expand that conversation. I'm not going to ask about the times you've eaten floor pizza multiple times. However, I don't consider that floor pizza. That's a box. The box is fine. Eat the fucking pizza.
Sorry.
I would have literally been, if it had been you guys and you guys came up with a bunch of fucking shit records and a death book and you like dropped the pizza because of an earthquake. I'm like, and you left the pizza?
Right.
Like, why did you leave the pizza? What did the pizza do?
Well, that's the thing too, is not only are they fucking like getting fucked up by their demon mother, they're starving. Like they are starving. And the sister couldn't even save them. She couldn't even save them. And they're fucking hungry. These poor kids.
None of them put shoes on except for the little girl, like the youngest kid. Like there's fucking demons and all this crazy shit's going on, and one has socks on and the other one doesn't have anything, just barefoot. I'm like, you might want to put some shoes on. I mean, that might be a thing you think about. Like, I'm gonna need to get the fuck out of here, so I'm gonna put shoes on.
Yeah. I didn't
like
even
you're
notice
responsible.
that.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on here? No
Because
one.
we know the sister has shoes the whole time because
Yeah.
they zoom in on her shoes 10 fucking times every
Yeah.
5 minutes.
That's
Yeah,
true.
there's definitely a lot of things where it's like,
we saw her ankles like through half
Yep.
the movie.
like you guys
Yeah.
are. There's some things you guys are being way too nonchalant about in this movie, but
It's like,
Anyway,
yes,
yeah.
she's edgy. She's wearing
that's-
heeled boots.
Yeah.
Like, we know.
That's
We
how
know.
you get ringworm. That
Yep.
kid's gonna get ringworm.
totally. Oh, all right.
They should
Wait.
never be barefoot in that apartment at all.
It looked like it had hardwood floors too. So yeah, you don't get splinters and shit. But okay, but before we rate this thing, so
I'm barefoot on my hardwood floor right now. I'm good. My feet
Yeah,
are splinter
yeah,
free.
yeah.
I'm barefoot on this
But
hardwood floor.
okay, your apartment and your house are rather nice. This was a pretty fucked up apartment building.
That's true.
That's
so-
fair. I would
That's
not have
true.
been.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair. If
But before we get to rating this, so Oobliette just sent me a text of some horror news, and yes, I was gonna mention this, but I was like, you know what, the Dawn of the Dead shit at Monroeville Mall is more important. But yeah, the Deep Water, the new shark movie that's gonna be coming out, produced by Gene Simmons. Like,
okay, all right.
Yeah.
From the director of Deep Blue Sea.
yep,
Don't
yes,
forget that part.
that's the
in
most
there, too.
important part. Yeah,
I like Deep
So.
Blue Sea.
And that's like that and Jaws, man, on YouTube, people fucking listen to those episodes.
dude, I know.
The shark ones, it's crazy.
Yeah,
You fuckers, like 10 of you listen to these or watch these on YouTube ever, and then we do like a shark series and then 120 days of Sodom, and
yeah.
yeah, you guys just YouTube it up, sharks and fucking anal. You guys love this.
It's
love
what
that
they
on
love.
YouTube.
Fucking weirdos.
YouTube is all sharks and child sex. Yep.
Apparently.
Wow.
So if
Oh.
you're listening to this on YouTube right now, you're a fucking freak.
We know who
And we
you
know
are.
it. We know it.
We know your
We know-
secret.
It's not a secret anymore. We've looked at the demographics. We've done tests. We know what you like.
You're all terrible, terrible people.
All right, let's rate this little fucker. Oubliette, what are you going for?
3.
Okay. Dom?
I'll do 4.
Ooh, all right.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Here's why. Here's my explanations to 4. I totally want to own this. It made me realize that I didn't own 2013. It made me realize I only own Ash versus the Evil Dead digitally, not physically. I suddenly realized this movie suddenly rebooted my interest and made me go, I'm now going out and buying and making sure I have the physical editions of all the Evil Dead movies because I like this one enough. It
Good
just
man.
kicked
Good
it.
man.
You know, while I have some of these digital versions, I suddenly realized, oh, I've never gotten around to buy these official real versions. So I'm like, you know what? I obviously liked it. It kicked me up enough to do that. If I'm going to buy it, you're going to be at least a 3. And if you make me buy all the movies in your series all over again and remind me that I want to, 4. You're good.
Right.
I was obviously into it. So it gets an extra point. It gets
All
an
right.
extra candy
Candy corn.
evil candy corn from that alone. So
All right. So mine's going to be low just because I had some issues with it. It's going to be a 2.25 Evil Dead candy corns going on, but not because I didn't like it or I didn't think it was entertaining, but there was just something like, again, it's the characters I just don't care about. And that's really bugging me with a lot of movies. I'm like, there's nothing connecting me to all these characters. And if they're not all going to die, then I'm just kind of like, I don't care. I'm not invested in these movies enough, but I thought it did well. And again, for me, I probably won't own it. I think it's a good start off kind of direction to go with the Evil Dead franchise rebooting. It's not much replay value for me. So if something doesn't have a lot of replay value, then it's usually going to get stuck in the twos, even though it may not necessarily have anything wrong with it. But, I just don't care about it that much. But aside from that, the average is still a 3, which is pretty good. And I think we all agree that if people haven't, and, by the money it's pulling in, I don't see how many people haven't yet. But if you haven't, I would definitely go check it out. And I think we all agree about that. So
Yeah, see, me, I feel like I can put this on while I'm working, and I would totally watch it again and again. Like, I would.
Yeah, I mean, it could be on, but I would never like, oh, you know what? I think I need to watch that. I'm like, I saw it once and that's good enough. But I am interested in to see where it goes, because I do want them to do more.
Are you really? Because you gave it a pretty shitty score.
Well, I am, because I think it could. Well, I won't say I think it could only get better, because, geez, there's been a lot of mediocre shit that's been put out as sequels and everything. But I think it has the potential to be more entertaining for sure. So I'm excited to see what's up with the next 1 or 2 or whatever, or the prequel, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, wherever it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Sam Raimi was right. He was like, it opens the door, like it can go anywhere, this franchise now. And I'm like, yeah, it could. And
which is what they always wanted, actually.
Right.
That's that they've been trying to get that going for a while, and it looks like they got it. So
right. And I would like it more if the Evil Dead, the original 3, never happened. I would probably like this more, but there's still like callback. I still just can't get it out of my head. Like, okay, like my Evil Dead is Ash and, goofy, campy shit. Like,
which I think is a thread that follows one book.
Right.
Which, if they keep that going, like if I was them, even if I don't put Ash in it, I would follow the thread. I would literally start building the universe around 3 books, and each book is going to have a temperature of the movie. So the Army of Darkness book, for lack of a better term, should have a more campy feel to it.
Which I would love. Like, I would love if they did like the next one was just a complete different kind of feel, like totally goofy. I'd be like, this is all right. This is, I like that.
Hopefully they'll get to do both, and everything. I'd like to see them do something with Mia. From
Mia Goth? Oh.
No, Mia, the lead character of Evil Dead 2013. So
Right. And dude, and you know what? Just like,
and Mia Goth can play her.
Yes. She could play her.
I mean, I'm not gonna hate on the Mia Goth love here, because I think she's amazing. I love her. So
I think she's insane, but for whatever reason I'm into it. Yeah, and I don't know. The Ash versus Evil Dead, that series is just kind of like, that was my end to the thing. I'm like, okay, that's a fitting tie up to this whole deal. But I don't know. This one, like I said, I'm interested to see where it goes. And it's gory, and it's, there's a lot of cool shit that visually, so that's a good thing. But anyway, Dominic, thanks for coming back.
I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me, as always. I hope I will be here more often.
You will.
Any time that I
don't bring apples
to review Scream, I'm happy. So I'd even do a fucking Caged. I don't even care.
Hell yes. Oh, there's all right. Dude, okay, before we go, he's like the hardest working fucking man in show business.
Because he's the best. Like, he's just the best,
There's always some movie he's in, from like 7 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, last year. I'm just cruising through Prime or whatever. I'm like, hey, what the fuck is this movie now? He plays what? All right. And then like another movie like a year later after that one was filmed, I'm like, Jesus Christ, my man, putting in that work. So I can appreciate you, Nicolas Cage, for that.
And he's in the Flash with Ezra Miller. So.
Yeah. There you go.
Can have 2 fucking weirdos together.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably helped him kidnap those underage girls
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I would, or I,
with his
yeah, with his taste.
crow, with his crow or his monitor lizard, kimono dragon, whatever he has in his house.
Whatever.
He literally, I mean, it's funny because I watched that video, whatever, of him taking someone through his house. And it starts like, oh yeah, he likes Elvis, he likes gothy stuff, you know, this is just, he's an eccentric millionaire type. And then I was like, no, I think Nicolas Cage is actually preparing to be a supervillain.
That'd be awesome.
And this is going to be the next evolution of Cage. He's going to stop acting and actually will become a supervillain. I don't know what he's going to blow up first, who he's going to poison first, what kind of machine he's going to build first, but it's happening. And I am saying it right now. Next evolution of Cage, supervillain.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Someone's going to piss him off and it's going to happen.
All right.
I'm here for it. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Oobliette is the soothsayer.
Psychic. Psychic.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again for this episode of Monster Candy Podcast, and we'll see you next time. You old titty suckers.
Bye, motherfuckers.
See you next time.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby.
My dog.
Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
That was awesome.
looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Get away from her, you bitch!"
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Your move, creep.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.